So, are we about to become gods, or are we just playing with a fire that's going to burn us all? Today, we're going to dive into a really high-stakes debate about the future of humanity, all inspired by the work of philosopher Ray Brassier. It really boils down to this. Should we seize control of our own evolution, or are there some lines that we should never, ever cross?
Time is this thing that just happens to us, right? It shapes us whether we like it or not. But the real question here is, what if we could flip the script? What if we could start to shape time itself? And look, this isn't just some abstract puzzle. It's about whether we, as a species, even believe in a future that we can actively build anymore. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at this bold idea called the Promethean promise, this idea of unlimited human potential. Then we'll get into the very serious warnings against that kind of ambition. And finally, we're going to land on a pretty startling and honestly challenging conclusion about what progress really is. To really get where this whole debate is even coming from, we have to rewind a bit. We've got to go back to the Enlightenment, that revolutionary idea that we humans could use reason, not just to understand the world, but to actually make it a better place. But here's the thing. This isn't just some dusty old academic debate. Right now, there are influential thinkers from all across the political spectrum who are telling us to just give up on that grand project. They're saying it's a dangerous fantasy, a recipe for disaster. And today, we're going to put that warning right under the microscope.
All right, so at the absolute heart of this whole thing is a powerful concept we're going to call Prometheanism. And yeah, you guessed it, it's named after Prometheus, the titan from Greek mythology, who had the guts to steal fire from the gods and give it to us mortals.
So what does that actually mean? Well, when you boil it all down, it's a pretty radical claim that our potential as a species is basically unlimited. Prometheanism says there's no such thing as a fixed human nature, no pre-written destiny we just have to accept. The future is an open book. And if you're thinking this sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, hold on, this is very real. I mean, check this out. Back in 2002, a major US government report laid out this incredible plan to merge nanotechnology, biotechnology, IT, and cognitive science. And their explicit goal, the technological re-engineering of human nature. This isn't just a philosophical dream, it's a real-world project with some serious money and power behind it. But, every grand vision casts a long shadow. And the critics of Prometheanism have a really stark warning for us. It's rooted in a deep philosophical argument against what they see as humanity's most dangerous kind of pride, our hubris. And this slide just lays out the core conflict perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this ambition to literally engineer our own future. And on the other, you have this solemn warning to respect a kind of fragile natural balance, an equilibrium that, if we break it, we might not ever get back. Now, to really get what the critics are worried about, you have to understand this one key distinction they make. Think of the given as the hand of cards we're all dealt in life, our biology, the fact that we're mortal, the basic rules of the game. The maid is everything we build on top of that, our cultures, our technology, our entire civilization. The philosopher Hannah Arendt, she put it so well. She argued that we can never fully step outside of ourselves and treat our own existence like it's just another object we can mess with. I mean, we're the ones doing the tinkering. Trying to remake that fundamental part of us, she said, would be like jumping over our own shadows. You just can't do it. So the deep fear here, the real gut-level worry, is that in this mad dash for total control, in this attempt to turn even our own nature into something we've made, we'll end up destroying the very things that make life meaningful. If we eliminate all struggle, all limitations, what's left to even strive for? And some thinkers, like Ivan Illich, they take this even further. He says that the very attempt to conquer these fundamental realities, like pain and death, is itself a kind of sickening disorder. For him, real wisdom isn't about fighting our limits. It's about learning to accept them with grace. Okay, but what if that whole argument against progress is built on, well, a myth? Because now we're going to pivot to a really powerful defense of this Promethean idea, and it pretty much turns the tables on the critics entirely.
This one simple question is like a wrecking ball to the critics' case. Just think about it for a second. How much of what our ancestors thought was just inevitable suffering, plagues, child mortality, starvation, have we actually overcome? So where exactly do you draw that line between what we just have to accept and what we have the power to change for the better? So the counter-argument says that the critics are kind of smuggling in a hidden religious idea.
This whole notion of a fragile equilibrium or a natural order, it basically assumes that the world was designed in a certain way, a correct way, and that we're forbidden from messing with that design. And this quote from Ray Brassier, this is the real game changer. Because if you accept this idea that the world wasn't made for a purpose, that there's no divine blueprint, then the whole picture changes. There is no sacred order for us to violate. The world is just there. And you see how that just flips the whole thing on its head? All of a sudden, Prometheanism isn't about arrogance or hubris. It's about humanity stepping up. It's our attempt to bring reason and purpose into a universe that, frankly, didn't come with any. It's almost like our cosmic responsibility. And all of this leads us to a really stark, really unsentimental conclusion about what we call progress. And I've got to warn you, it's not for the faint of heart. This line from the author J.J. Ballard, which Brassier uses, it just forces us to face a hard truth. Real, meaningful transformation is never clean. It's not polite. It is inherently disruptive. It shatters old ways of living, and that process can be really violent. But here's the absolute key takeaway. Just because progress is savage doesn't mean it's not progress. The point isn't that every new technology is good. No, the real job of our reason is to be tough, to be unsentimental, to look at this messy, disruptive process and make the hard calls about which kinds of savagery are actually better than others. And so that leaves us right here with this enormous, unsettling, and totally unavoidable question. As we stand on the edge of technologies that give us more power than ever before, this isn't just a question for philosophers anymore. It's a question for every single one of us. Can we really remake our world without fundamentally remaking who we are? The answer we choose will literally define the future of what it means to be human.